loud. Full body stretch out. What do you need today? I have a little table that's going to serve as my chair and my working reference for some of the assisted stuff that we need. But you will need, if you don't actually have a resist-a-band, don't worry about it. You can grab your towel, you can grab your stretch out strap, anything that allows you to pull against it and just help guide your arms. This is part of our shoulder mobility. And this is one of those interesting movements that I so value, that it is in every single one of my personal workouts, regardless of how many classes I've taught, right? Never a day goes by that if I've got a band in my hand and I'm out here doing my stretches or I'm working with you all, this is a go-to for all of my clients that I train. This is a go-to. And so what happens here is if you start realizing that your shoulders are bound up in any way as they start moving behind your head, then you're just going to work up and you're going to try to eliminate the biting points. But if you want the best and easiest success with this, you will soften your elbow as you're running your test. And with your bent arm, try to get your arm around you and keep it really bent as it slides, right? So that would seem a little contrary to ultimately what we want our shoulders to be doing. This is built on extension. So that's why pulling against the band gives the shoulders their job of how to extend, and it's called abduct, so that they can get around and pulled out of the socket and create some freedom. Reverse your circle. For me, my legs want to kind of go with my hips and my shoulders, but if you rock your weight from side to side, or if you're standing still, or you've got one leg forward of the other, there's no wrong here. It's just sometimes helpful if you let your body move the direction that you're trying to get the part to go, right? If the rest of you comes along. So again, if your arms are biting and you can't get the pull down behind you, then just do this big up, twist the body, and glide down. So the worst thing would be to try to keep, I had a client say to me, as a matter of fact, just last week, he's like, you can't beat the dog when it's down. So if you realize that your shoulders are like fighting, then don't try to keep putting a workload into them that they really are resistant to, especially right out of the gate, right? So 4 more. This just is my movement that I start with because it is all about connection. Give me 2 more. Inhale on the up sweep. Exhale through the come around and release. And just like that, we're off and running. So just for the sake of demonstration, right, I'm going to take my band out of the equation and I'm going to use the towel that I told you you all could swap out. If you don't have an exercise band, this is a really long towel, which means it's got a lot of thickness to it, but that's okay. Put it behind you. You could even use your stick for those of you that are, familiar with some of this stuff. Grab your pole if you want to, right? Or just keep holding your band, but you're going to hold it behind your body, right? With your palms forward. Create tension and just move the stick, towel, band, stretch out strap away from you. And I'm going to show you profile. So very often when we move our arms behind us, our hips kip forward and our low back pinches down. And we don't even realize that that's what's happening. So we're going to exaggerate the shoulder roll, pull your belly in, squeeze your buns, move the hands back if you can, exaggerate your shoulder roll because this is encouraging the shoulders to get out of that forward rounded position. Depress them, push the hips into squeezed and active position and move the arms. Inhale up, push the shoulders down, squeeze the buns, belly to spine, push. 2 more, breathe in, push down. If you did nothing more in the course of your day, when you realize that you're kind of sitting in a forward rounded position, release and relax, move the stick or whatever you're holding to the front of you. If you just try to push your shoulders down and keep pushing them down, even if you were in bent arms, right? That would be very helpful to your posture. So where are we? Straight up, straight down. There's a reason for this. Start separating your feet, straight up, straight down, right? I'm just continually working my feet a little bit further and further apart. Maybe you noticed it, maybe you didn't, right? Every time my arms go up, my feet are just moving apart. And I'm hitting a point where they don't want to go any further. That's how wide I want you to be. Ready? Pull on whatever you're holding. This is going to seem a bit odd, but we're going to work right into our hip hinge. So I want you to, with your straight legs, push your fanny back, glide your gaze down towards the floor, reach your arms towards the screen, lower the chest, say hello to your hamstrings, pull yourself back up. How was that? If your arms are way back here, when you forward round, right, then the arms are kind of up to the ceiling, and that's fine. But if your shoulders are tight, your arms will be in line with the top of your head and you'll be reaching towards the screen. Pull yourself up. This is a very, it's not our traditional way we get into hip hinge. Press the hips back, lengthen the spine, figure out where do you want your arms, relax your neck, right? Because your arms can keep pulling back as you hip hinge. They don't have to stop at the ceiling level. They can come all the way back so that the towel or the strap or whatever you're using is resting across the back. Forward, reach the arms back in line with the top of the head, pull yourself up. Do one more. Look at your feet real quick, turn the toes in a little bit, right? Shove the hips back. Get your trunk length, right? So hips go back, legs are straight, as if I was with you, I would be pulling on whatever it was you were holding. I would be standing in front of you and I'd be pulling on your object to help you get your arms long. And then once you get into tabletop, because you're not looking at the screen, if your head is up, you're pinching your neck. Look down at the floor. Sweep the arms to whatever angle your shoulders permit. And when you float yourself back up, before you come up, I want you to reach the arms forward towards the screen so your whole body comes up neutral. Release the arms. Ready? Take one leg, doesn't matter which one, turn it. All right. So on my mat, I actually have lines. It's by design. This mat was created with a center point, and then it allows me to plant my arch. It gives me this visual so I can know precisely if I'm really tracking in a good line. And as you look at your body, you're going heel of one foot lining up with the arch of the trailing foot. Just bend your front leg. That's it. Our shoulders and hips want to go the direction that our knee is going, and that's okay. But for right now, I want you to try to twist your torso to the front, which is going to create a much more intense stretch in a different part of your body. And we're going to float into this little side bend. Don't worry, we're not going to hold it. Float back, straighten the front leg, rebend the front leg, re-straighten the front leg, rebend the front leg. This is a nice little floaty, floaty. You come up, you load back, the leg bends. You come up, you rock forward, the front leg bends. So we're getting extended side angle stretch and we're working into exalted warrior, right? Inhale up, float, pull it up, rebend, and you're just testing that front knee. Now, if you got a whole bunch of grinding going on in the knee and it doesn't feel good, then you pick your position, which might mean that both legs stay straight. And then you're doing triangle pose, and still triangle pose, right? So you can change what your upper body is doing if the shoulders aren't feeling good. Now, this is your last one. If the shoulders aren't feeling good, and I should have gotten this out sooner, you just shorten your lever, right? So the elbow's the driver, and release. Take your front foot, swivel it around, take your trailing leg, turn it. Here we go. Heel and arch, line it up. Squeeze, tucking buns, taking your body. Maybe you even have to put your hands on your hips and go, I really am pointed at a cockeyed angle. Bend the front knee, try to bring the hips and shoulders around without bringing the knee around. Oh, gosh, we're so tight through these joints right here. So zip and tuck, the legs bending. We're just getting started, right? And now we'll start with the modified arms, hands to shoulders. It was the funniest thing. Last week, I was with a client and we're dealing with some shoulder injuries. And so I suggested to him to put his hand on his shoulder, and he literally couldn't. And that just shows you and confirms what Chris just said, is that all of our bodies are different, right? So if you can't get your fingers to your shoulders, right, for one reason or the other, just bend your arms. But if you know that you're not having shoulder issues, then what I want you to do is let these arms be these nice long extensions, right? So the leg is just floating from bent leg. Take the little stretch, nothing's extreme, straight leg as you transition back to warrior. If you feel balanced, then what you do with your head becomes this next bit of an equation. If you can keep your neck long and following the arm that actually has the most significance right now, and it's generally going to be the arm that's in the up. So your head turns, the leg bends, right? Reach up. The head turns because you're switching arms. Bend the leg, reach up. Do one more. This is just gentle opening. We're not holding any hard position, right? It might seem hard because the body's tight, but this is gentle. Take, re-straighten. All right. You might be able to power step your legs together, but it takes a little more skill to heel to toe, heel to toe. Right? Think foot and ankle. So if you need a little extra support because balance-wise you're a little wonky, then put yourself next to your wall, grab your chair, right? And it seems a little silly, but single leg stance, and you're trying to pick the foot up, put it on toe point, roll it to the outside edges of the toe. We're going to go both directions. It might not even be real smooth. Just try to get your ankle to roll. And now reverse the roll. There's a reason why I'm drawing your attention to your feet. And in a moment, we're going to do something that's a little bit more specific for foot strengthening. Okay, switch sides. So because these are specifics, we have to draw your brain, the mind connection down to the part that we're going to be trying to control in a moment. And as you're doing this, you may be getting some sensory awareness across the top. For me, when I roll my foot like this and I push the toe down, I feel a massive stretch across the top of my big toe. And then when it rolls to the outside, not so much, right? So it's more big toe connection for me, and make sure you get it going both ways. I had the most intense massage on Saturday. Release and relax. Remember that wide position you were in just a moment ago? So you're going to step out again. This time your leg gets to be a little bit forward of your back anchor leg. And I want you to feel like you're holding a pose, right? So you're going to pull up nice and high onto the toes. You can offload the weight from your front leg just by pulling yourself back if it becomes too much. But this is going to seem awkward, okay? So you've got to find the right bent leg angle where you feel like you're locked in, and you are going to pick up the heel and you're going to articulate your ankle circle from this loaded position now. Right? Your foot does not roll over to the top of the toe, just raise it up. So we in classes, we address the strength of your arch by picking up the little coins, right? By walking on our tiptoes, by scrunching up the towel under our foot. This is just another way, go the other way, to train the strength of the foot and the ankle. So it becomes this very personal thing. If you don't feel really strong or you have some negative sensation, then just barely lift the foot. But the higher you can get onto your tiptoe and work the ankle around in different angles may become very like insightful to you about what part of the circle you can't get to or even control. And as the foot starts coming through the circle and it comes down, hopefully you see that your toes are spread and long. And release. Other side. So I know you guys signed in for full body stretch out, and you also know that that to me does not mean that we're laying down on the floor for 60 minutes, right? Generally, I mean, I don't even remember when the last time that happened was. So where are you? Your front working leg is bent, it's loaded. Back leg is, you're in command of its strength because you're trying to push into the front leg. Lift the heel. What if that's as far as you could get? Would be just lifting the heel because you can't work the ankle around in a circle. Do your very best. The knee will absolutely come along for the ride. So you can't move your ankle and not let the knee go through its rotation too. Squeeze the bun on the trailing leg. This puts you hopefully with your eyes on your ankle and your foot, right? Watch the leg kind of come inward through the circle, pull up to the big toe, roll and sweep the knee and push down. Do one more. We have, I'm noticing more and more, bring it down, reverse your circle. I'm noticing more and more that as we get older, we lose the function of our foot in a way that is really giving us additional problems through our knees and our hips. So this has been on my radar for a while. Pull it around, right? Do two more. That'll give us like 5. And if you've ever twisted your ankle, right, you've got some scar tissue in there, and we also know that you've got some weakness, right? So this might be really interesting where you feel some discomfort. Release and relax, shake it out. All right. Floppy hands. It always seems silly, you know, when I'm out here. So the part of the building that you guys don't see are these 2 huge towers, right? And because I don't come out here often, anybody looking out their window is just standing looking at somebody who's talking and flapping their hands. They wouldn't know that I'm actually running a little session here. Push and pull. But because 8 o'clock, 8 to 9, 8 to 9:30 is generally my own private time on the weekends. Like this is what I do on the weekends out here, right? Push, pull, push, flop, like get it going. Like there is no right or wrong, right? I just want you to feel like you're trying to shake something off of your hands and release, okay? Turn the wrists into the body. I've got such good stuff planned for us today. We've already done our ankles, but we are going to work our wrists. My preference is going to be in a kneeling position, working wrists. Everything that I do kneeling can be done from a standing position. Hopefully right now you're figuring out where your hand needs to push into your side body, pull your thumb and your pinky away from each other, and then create a push into the body. Draw the shoulders down, make your neck long, pull that cervical spine back, right? Now, release. All right. So we have this ulnar nerve, right, that comes up through the forearm and through the shoulder, and we're going to do a little bit of our nerve glide. So finger towards the shoulder, let your head tip away from the hand to start. We're going to do our easiest version. All right. So standing tall, belly to spine. Right? You're going to extend the arm, let the hand float so that you push the heel of the hand out, and then bring the head towards that shoulder. Keep pulling the belly in, gliding the shoulders down. And now the head tips away, the hand comes to the shoulder. This is the easier version. We're going to do one more like this. Tip the head towards the hand, lengthen the arm, push the wrist away. If your arm is high, you're not allowing the shoulder to get its depressed position and the heel of the hand to really go into its elongated place. Now, relax the head, bring the hand back to the shoulder. These next two are going to be the slightly harder version. So your head is going to pull away from the stretching side, and you're going to lengthen the arm. Just by you pulling your head away from that arm, it has lengthened the stretch. Get the shoulders out of the ears, pull the belly in. If you can take your thumb and index finger and twist them back while you take your armpit and pull it down, that will be pretty full stretch. And now the hand and the ear, right, come back towards each other. Inhale. This has offloaded all of the stretch right there. And now tip away. So even when we're trying to stretch and lengthen through the neck, the shoulder will have a mind of its own. You have to go, okay, this is where a mirror would be really helpful. Shoulder out of the ear. When you tipped your head to this other shoulder, did your chin rotate up? Because I want you to bring your chin to neutral as if there's a mirror right in front of you and you're staring at yourself. Take your index and thumb, twist them back, glide both shoulders down, belly to spine, and now sweep your head further from that stretching side and look down off of this far shoulder over here, and then relax. So if you had a tension on what your thumb and index finger were doing, you may have felt a massive stretch through that part of your hand in addition to everything else. Okay, so now arm number 2, hand to shoulder, head starts away from the hand. You do not have to stand in place. If you feel like you just want to walk around, take a little stroll through your space, let the arm extend, let the head float towards that arm, twist the thumb back, push the shoulders out of your ears, right? And then bring everything back together. The hand comes to, the neck relaxes. The whole tick-tock action of your head, it feels good to me, but I'm used to doing this, okay? So your head is going to go with the arm because that keeps the stretch less than. Shoulders out of the ears, flick the wrist back. You not only want to push with the heel of the hand, you want to make sure that your arm is at an angle that allows you to really control the wrist, because everything about this stretch is at the wrist flick. And now bring the hand back to the shoulder, shake it off. So the next two are the harder ones. Head goes away from the arm. If you were standing in front of your mirror, I would want you to put your eyes kind of on where your hand is. Does it look like your fingers are actually pointing away from the elbow? So we want to see a noticeable angle to the wrist with the shoulders down, the retraction through the neck so that everything is making a straight line. And you're going to try to twist the hand to get your index and thumb fingers back as if someone is lightly tugging on them. And then you're going to sweep your head angle so that you're looking off of the shoulder on this other side. Bring everything back together. So for those of us that spend a lot of time on our gadgets, right? This is intense stuff. Push the arm away, tip the head away from it. Sometimes when we tip the head, the whole body wants to lean, right? Reset the trunk so that it's the shoulder. Everything is static. If I did nothing more than just have my head tilted and have my focus on this shoulder pulling down, the stretch is massive. I feel like my tricep is active to get my arm rotated, but yet what I feel is so intense. And it can't just be me feeling that. I know that you all have to feel the intensity of this stretch too. So twist the thumb and index finger back, shoulders down, pull the chin to you, right? Because we want cervical spine retraction. And then turn the head and look off the far shoulder. And relax your parts. Walk it around. If you want your chair, grab it. You're going to need something. So I'm going to use my little table. Feel free to grab a swig of water. I want you to think about this supported or assisted downward dog into hamstring stretch, lat, and tricep. So this, right? Imagine that this is a chair, not a table, right? Hands on the edge, walk the feet back. Widen the stride and then push the hips back, trying to get those heels flat to the floor. And hopefully you'll find the angle of your head to go right between your arms so that your biceps line up with your ears. You're just in rest mode here. Maybe you're getting a nice little stretch across the lumbar. Your hamstrings might feel like they're stretching. And now, can you position your arms in such a way where you've got control enough to drop one hand from the table or the chair and reach for the opposite foot? This is nothing new, right? This is one of our standard moves. Bring the hand up, switch arms. Wow. Switch arms. Inhale on transition, exhale on the reach through. Sometimes when we're switching arms or even just holding the position, we've got our head in the wrong spot. If your head is up above your arms, you're creating a crimp through the neck. I need for you to pull your head through, try to lean your bicep in or the ear in towards the bicep of the arm that's on the chair, right? Switch arms, think about that. Draw your head through, see if you can put your ear against the inside of that arm to protect you. And now, both hands to the chair. Here's the fun part. Can you pull up on your tippy toes? So now you may have lifted your head to see what we're doing here. Round your spine by curling the tailbone under and get into this moment of what feels like plank. And then push the hips back. Drive the heels to the floor, take one hand, reach it for the foot, bring that hand back to the table. Don't switch arms yet. Pike up on your tiptoes, rounding spine and coming into this hold for a 1 count squeeze. Shove it back, switch hands. Opposite hand is reaching for the foot. Put it back on your support, raise up to tiptoes, rounding spine. You round spine to get into your plank hold because I want to make sure that you're keeping your derriere tight. Push it back. You've got one more on each side. Reach hand to foot, hand to table, pull up to tiptoes. You're in full bun contraction. Abs are working and you're just loading your shoulders directly over your wrists. Drive it back. This is your last one. Hand to opposite foot. As you transition, tiptoes, 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 squeezing buns, leveling out, shoulders out of the ears, but yet still squeezing buns, and then walk the feet forward. Okay. So I told you I was going to do this wrist work from a kneeling position, but I'll just bring my little support base closer to show you. Right. So I'm going to need a little bit of cushion. We're going to keep you working from your chair. If your chair doesn't have a good cushion, then fold your mat up and put your mat on it. I just don't want to be on the table without a little bit of cushion. All right, so think wrists and think elbow pit. Okay, so I don't know which way to angle myself to get the best view here, but here's where we start. Isn't that funny? You can't make this stuff up. Take two, and I'm never going to be able to get the leg back in there. It's one of those puzzles, right? It seems simple enough. There we go. All right. Oh, for the love. I do realize that it's working wrists and ankles can be really challenging. So what I've just done is I've flipped my fingers towards my thighs and I'm squared up. So if you're standing at your chair, you need to turn your body so that you can look at the screen like this instead of looking at the screen like this. But this is really not good for your neck. So turn and put your side body, right? And I'm going to give you all the details. You want to be like in an athletic ready position, like you were getting ready to just squat. So your spine is long, not rounded. Take the backs of your hands, put them on your support base. And now you are going to bend your arms. Seems simple enough, right? And then you're going to straighten your arms. And when you straighten your arms, don't let your back round. Stay flat. I want you to swivel the elbow pit forward. This is going to be the challenge right there. And then you unswivel the arm because the arm gets to bend. And if the hand wants to move to allow you to bend the arm, that's fine. And then pull yourself up. And the part we haven't even addressed yet, if your shoulder is touching your jaw, glide it away from your ears as you're setting into S-curve, swivel the elbow pit forward, and all the while a massive stretch should be happening in your wrist. Ready? Soften your parts, come on down, everything gets to round, and then you exaggerate your push up. You get pushed up, and then you clean up the rest of your form and you swivel the elbow pit forward. Can you pull your thumb away from the index finger? Shoulders out of the ears and release. Wow, that should have felt like a massive stretch. All right. Now I've got some reservations about picking up my little support base. Okay. Come to seated position. It's okay. What kind of would be funny is if all four legs just went out from under my little seat, right? That would really test my my reflexes. But back to me talking about this massage I got on Saturday. Stretch one leg forward. So I've told you guys that I have rolled my ankle many times. Opposite hand to your straight leg is on the shoulder. So I should say hand that goes with the straight leg is on the opposite shoulder. The other hand is your stretching arm, reaching arm. You get to relax your foot, glide down into that forward roll for your low back. Maybe you don't even feel anything. It could be that your low back is so limber that when you roll forward, you don't feel anything in your low back, nor do you feel anything in your hamstring, right? You're like, yeah, I'm so limber, I don't feel anything. If that's you, then I want you to flex your foot. Keep your toes pulled to you, right? You do not have to be in a flat back forward lean. You can do what I call a ragdoll roll down. Pull yourself back up. You're going to do 2 more. So for most of my massage, I actually was not hypersensitive. Everything felt pretty good. And I was pretty impressed that I was like, oh, you know, I'd got nothing that's really setting off. But then she got down into the part, I don't even know how. So your anterior tib and your calf, okay? So if you were to dig your fingers down the side portion of your leg, it would actually like separate. You could feel that there is a ligament, a tendon, muscle, something. I don't know. I actually don't know what it is, even though it caused me so much discomfort. So she's working on, where are we going? We just switched legs. Opposite hand is the reaching hand to the leg, right? There's a reason why. I want you to think about it before I tell you the answer. Why might we be reaching opposite hand to the lengthened leg? Whether you've got your ankle in full extension or you need more stretch and you're working flex foot, you pick. We're only doing 5. Don't get hung up. If it feels good in the down, right? Just know that you're going to come back and get back to it. Come right back up if you can. Down you go. So nonetheless, she does my left leg first, and it's a little sensitive. And then because I know that I've rolled my right ankle, she gets to my right leg. And I tell you, she probably spent 20 minutes trying to get this thing to release. Like she could feel it. It was fine. It was fine. And then it wasn't fine. Right. And then she'd roll over it and it was fine. It was fine. And then it wasn't. So I had 2 like bulbous little hot spots in there, trigger points. All right. I'm going to just turn my body to an angle. You guys can stay squared on your chair. I just don't want to sit squared up to the camera that way. So think about your legs being your brace, right? Twist your body, let the arm float into the leg, stretch. This is just our supported version of something we've kind of already done from our standing position, right? Keep long body. You do slightly need to come forward in order to create the twist and the brace. And now, because we want a nice line, when you come into the sliding forward aspect, you then want to stretch up like there's a handle hanging from the ceiling, because we're really trying to get top arm and bottom arm in a straight line and release, right? Twist the body, glide into the stretch. Your leg becomes the bracing support to help you twist your trunk, turn your head, look up at the high arm, slide down into the stretch, release and relax. All right, little hip flexor stretch. I'm going to give you options. Do you want to sit perched on the edge of your support base and just stretch the leg into, you know, a 90, 90, 90, 90, all right? Or if you don't have any issues with your knees, just make sure you put a little extra cushion down for the trailing knee. The stretch sensation will be deeper. So if you don't have any knee glitching going on and you don't have a problem kneeling, then I want to encourage you to be on your knee. The foot, whether you're on your chair or the knee, the foot is the same. You are in a flexed foot because that helps you control the hip. Now, stay with me. Turn your head if you can without losing your balance. And I want you to look at the angle that your heel is going. So this becomes a really revealing aspect to your body's flexibility. realign your foot so that it truly is heel straight up. Don't let the heel rock out. Pelvic tilt. All right. You can play around with doing a little bit of this hip glide forward and back if you're on your knee. If you're sitting perched on your chair, you're not going to be able to glide, right? But it's not about how far forward the hips go. It's how stacked you get your knee and your hip and how tight of a pelvic tilt you get. Have you ever tried to explain to somebody what a pelvic tilt is? Women seem to get it. My male clients, it's really hard for me to find the right words without being very crass about what is supposed to be happening here, and release and relax, push out of it. Other side. So you decide, are you going to perch on your chair? Maybe it's that you don't have the same consideration from right to left knee. Maybe one knee you shouldn't be kneeling on, but the other one you can, right? And you're like, oh, cool. I forgot about that, right? Isn't it an interesting thing how sometimes we forget that if we're dealing with a limitation on one side, it's just that one side, right? So we can then go back and do something a little bit more intense on the side that's not impaired. So what are we going to do? We're going to look back, right? See what your foot is doing. This is where I love to just kind of, it's going to look funny, right? But because I can get my fingers to my toes, my preferred position is to try to get my toes to all be participatory. And when I do that, I can get a better alignment at my heel. And then I just work the position. So think about that. If you were trying to describe the movement of what a pelvic tilt is to the opposite sex, how would you say that you're trying to get the pubic region closer to the navel, right? That's really what we're trying to do. So I had to put it in words that was like this game. Remember that little game where you held the stick and there was a little cup and there was a little ball that you tried to like bounce into the little cup that was on a string? Stupid, right? But that's what came to my mind. How do I explain to this man how to get the crotch to the navel, right? Pull it in. My poor clients, they're probably always trying to figure out what is it I'm talking about. Good morning. So you guys can't hear him, I don't think, but yes, how are you doing today?
Very well. And how's your class?
So far, so good. No one's protesting.
All right. Good.
Release and relax. Oh, stop it. All right, so down to the floor we go. But to finish up my story on my massage, so from the outside down to the ankle, she worked and worked and worked to the point where I thought, okay, I'm just gonna lay here and take it because she's not gonna puncture my skin. I'm just not gonna pull a muscle. Like, I couldn't believe how uncomfortable it was. And I kept thinking, she's gonna move on. And finally, I had to tell her I couldn't take any more because it like 20 minutes of it and it never did release. And then she says, you guys are coming onto your back. She said, I hope you won't be sore tomorrow. And I laughed and I said, I hope I won't be sore tomorrow either. And sure enough, that was on Sunday. It was so tight is the wrong word. It really did. I expected to see black and blue bruising, but I didn't. It wasn't. It's still sensitive to the touch. But I did run a little test on as much work as she did on it. It really did improve my ankle mobility. So it seemed like it was too much at the time, but yet the lasting, and this is what's going to be hard for me to keep it lengthened because it's so sensitive to rub. Makes me go, I need to go back. I either need to take the steps. Do you have a stretch out strap? If you don't have a stretch out strap, okay, then that's okay. You'll be able to use your towel, right? If you have a yoga strap, if you have a high density elastic band, that'll work too. So one foot is on the floor, one foot is in your band. If you don't have a band, just know that your muscles are going to work a little bit harder with you not having a band. The band just helps us get our stretch, but without the band, you're going to swing your legs up, you're going to grab the back of the thigh and you're going to guide it to you. With the band, your hands get to pull on that band to help you get your stretch down and up, pull, pull, pull. So let me just get back to the fine tuning of what we're trying to do here. Sometimes the band creates this position where your arms reach up too high and then your neck and shoulders do the wrong thing. I want you to keep your elbows close to your trunk and pull on the band from that position, not because your arms are lengthened. All right. So if everything's going along nicely and you want a little bit more stretch, then you take the other leg and you fully extend that leg to the floor. So now, can you keep the down leg truly down and the up leg truly straight? Oof, and then release it. Both legs are lengthened. Pull it up, pull it up, pull it up. Push the heel up. If you lengthen the leg and the strain is behind the knee versus feeling stretch in the hamstring, then you need to soften your knee. Down you go one more time. Pull it up. Now, what if you're like, well, I don't have strain behind my knee, but let's just see what happens when I bend my leg. So if you are opting to just experiment with your body for a moment, if you bend the leg, you may be able to get your thigh closer to you, which might give you a deeper stretch in a different way. And now, switch the legs. You can roll yourself up if you want to switch the feet. And if you don't want to use your band, don't worry about it. I put my band on my leg, but I'm not going to use it, right? I'm going to take the leg down, swing it up, let my hands loop around the back of my thigh, pull my leg to me nice and tight. With your head position, make sure that your chin actually is doing a little drawing to your chest, all right? With the high leg in its highest position, where is your foot going? What direction are your toes, pointed or flexed? Hopefully flexed. And now I'm going to make the stretch harder. Still, I'm not going to hold my leg, right? Or I'm not going to use my band, rather. Down leg goes fully down. Hand supports behind the thigh of my stretching leg, and then I release it. I try to give you all variety so that, you know, if your hands are tired of gripping the band, the strap, then you get to use more of your hand, connect with your own limb and pull it to you and release. Do one more. How flat is your down leg? Hopefully it's as flat can be, and release. You're going to roll yourself to the side, push yourself up. Something we haven't done for a while, our QL stretch. So hand support. If you had a line on your space where your hip bone is, that's where you want your hand, the same line. The knees are forward of your hips and your top knee is pushing into the bottom leg, and then fully extend your support arm. You remember the swiveling action that we did when we were doing our wrist work is when you straighten this arm, get the shoulder pulled down and then swivel the elbow pit forward just so that you can get in this full extension. You don't have to keep it there, but that really will help you to know whether or not you have your shoulder blades in their correctly depressed position. Okay. Something may or may not be happening. If you push up and you start feeling a nice gentle pull along the underside of your waistline, you're doing it right. If you want more, raise the arm. This hand is going to thread the needle. So start a little twist. You can look at your down hand, twist. And from right here, just a smidge of zip up. Just a little bit, and it's going to feel like you're driving the pelvic tilt from the bun that you're seated on. So it's just a little bit. It's just enough to get us out of excessive S. We should be in neutral spine right now. Shoulders out of the ears, the armpit, or rather the elbow pit is swiveled, and you're twisting your trunk towards that down hand and release. That stretch should feel like it's a massive pull from the waistline and it kind of stretches out, okay? And now take the legs, swivel around to the other side. And you guys just keep swiveling for a second. I'm gonna get you set up. It's weird. It's like when I put my glasses on, I will not be able to see anything because these are polarized. Yeah, the screen is black. But my eyes are that's this thing about being out in the sun is I have to be, we all need to be really, really protective of our eyes. So push up. Wow. This to me, I'm gonna go further just to make sure that we get both sides done the same way, but I can tell you that if your body feels anything like mine, then right now I don't feel like I need to go any further in my stretch because that's how tight I am on this underside. So my from right to left, my right tends to be significantly tighter. What do I keep doing here by what looks like just kind of wiggling around? I'm making sure that my tricep and my lat mass have enough space so that they can be retracted and elongated, right? It's really a nuance to this. Get the shoulders depressed, the arm, that elbow pit swiveled, take your other hand, right? Start your little twist, bring your gaze down, look at the arm, look and see if you have truly a straight arm and the elbow pit in swivel mode. And then from the bottom hip, try to just do a little bit of a pelvic tilt. Maybe your other side was the tight side, right? How elongated can you keep your neck from your shoulder line, right? It requires all of your postural stabilizers to be hard at work, to be in a little zip up and full extension, right? And release. Okay, so I will say this is our last movement. It's our quadricep stretch. It's not our least movement, but somehow the quadricep stretch generally gets saved for the last part of class. You have options. If you come down to your side, can you get your hand to your foot? If you cannot get your hand to your foot, then you add your strap and you pull the strap, right, over the shoulder to create this anchor, right? I don't need the strap, so I'm going to go hand to foot. Bottom leg is pulled forward for balance. And now belly to spine. And here's food for thought. If everything about this stretch is telling you, oh, it feels good, but I actually know I'm more flexible than this, then without needing to set your strap or anything, all you have to do is roll down and then get everything in place, right? Zip and tuck, thighs are together, pubic bone is down to the floor, and you hold. Now I'm fighting to get my heel to touch my bottom, because I know I'm really tight on this side. So it's gonna, if you're looking, it is quite a little effort. I can get there and be totally where I need to be, release and relax. But don't feel like getting your foot to your bun is the objective. Swivel around, figure out which version are you going to. If you don't need the strap and you want to be face down, go right to it, right? So I like the various stages. That's it. This is it. It feels like we've been out here for a while. Even though I'm in a bathing suit, I feel like I've overdressed. It's a little toasty. Squeezing buns. Now, as you go to release it, think about how you're getting up, right? Can be a little downward dog version. Right? Push yourself up, rock back. And I will say namaste. I hope you guys have a great day. And as always, thank you for showing up. Okay. Somewhere there it is.